So the world is opening up once more, but with maybe a bit less of a ta-da and a bit more like a cautious little rabbit emerging from its burrow, just sniffing the air to see if it's safe to venture out yet. So in this video, I'm going to look at how you might be feeling about going back out into the world and what you can do regardless of whether you're ready to fling your mask aside and get down the pub and hug everyone, or feel anxious about the thought of being back to normal, if there even is such a thing as new normal. So these are top tips. Some of them are taken from conversations I've had with colleagues, others are with friends, and a lot with my clients, in fact. I hope they help you navigate the ever-changing new normal and move more easily back into the swing of things, but on your terms. Tip number 1, take it at your pace, one step at a time. The world shut down in what seemed like a day, and we've had quite a few false starts to get going again, and we're not even out of the woods yet. So it's understandable that you might feel a little bit cautious. Now, whilst caution is advised, sometimes that turns into feeling unsure about what's safe for us. And so our primitive mind kicks in and interprets that as a full-blown threat, sending us scurrying back to our tracky bottoms and Zoom meetings only. So slow it down. Maybe arrange to meet a friend for a sit-down coffee outside a cafe, or if you can negotiate it with your boss, go into the office just one day a week to start with, so you can get your confidence up again. When we haven't done something for a while, we often lose our confidence, but you'll be surprised how quickly it returns. Tip number 2, remind yourself what you used to really love about... Do you know what? Whether it's going out to restaurants or galleries, going to the gym, or even going to work, write a list of what you really enjoyed or the benefits that you can only get from being in those environments. Even if that's getting the best coffee on the walk to work, or being able to turn around and have an impromptu natter with your friend rather than setting up a Zoom meeting for a chat. It seems a little bit formal. Many of our clients were nervous about going back to the gym, but what motivated them was thinking about the fabulous choice of equipment rather than just their resistance bands and a few weights. Once they realised how much they'd missed the buzz of being there, they quickly gained back comfort and confidence in that environment. Tip number 3, get your interaction up. We are a really social species, and many of us have realised how much we missed that over the periods of various different lockdowns and social distancing measures. And even the most self-sufficient introverts among us require a degree of interaction to maintain our well-being. Positive interaction is one of the 3 P's of positivity that gives us not only a great flow of serotonin, which helps us to cope, but often a little boost of oxytocin, the neurotransmitter most associated with building social bonds and trust. It's also so much easier to find the positives when we have more choice in our activities and interactions. When we are experiencing life again, we need to remind ourselves of the things that make us feel good. Tip number 4, it might be okay to start anticipating good times ahead again. For many of us, the challenges we faced in lockdowns were not the reality of where we were so much, but the fact we kept having to cancel the things we'd planned. Often, these were the things that made life more enjoyable. Did you know the brain actually has more receptors for the pleasure of wanting things than actually getting those things, which means that looking forward to something often feels more enjoyable even than the thing itself. So although we are having to still be a little bit cautious, it seems we can start to book up a few little things, and you can get maximum benefit by enjoying the anticipation of those things running up to them, by completely absorbing yourself in them while you're doing them, and by taking time afterwards to reflect on how much you enjoyed them too. You'll be brimming with positive neurotransmitters before you know it, and these act as a motivator to carry on doing more of the things that make you feel good. Tip number 5, take the opportunity to declutter. Now, this might seem a little bit odd, but over the past year, it has been really challenging to donate or discard anything, with recycling centres, charity shops closed for much of the time. Now, we all know how much better our mind feels when we have a clear out of the junk drawer, shred our old filing, or tidy up the shoe pile at the bottom of the wardrobe. So why not do that now? Doing something which doesn't take a lot of mental effort but produces tangible results also has the added benefit of allowing our minds to use that processing power it saves on thinking to think about what we're going to do to solve our real problems. Your mind is decluttering itself while you're decluttering your house. Tip number 6, playfully harness your imagination. This tip is from my wonderfully fun and creative colleague, Emma from Inspired to Change in Spalding, and I have to include it just as it is. For context, if you know anything about solution-focused hypnotherapy, you know that we refer to those threats and fears that we blow out of proportion as polar bears. So Emma decided she was going to have fun with that and came up with this novel little switcheroo. She says, I took my imaginary friend, the polar bear, to work with me for protection. I had him in complete control and I had him on a leash. Sometimes being creative with our fears really helps us get control over them, whether this is imagining a delete button in your mind, which you press every time a negative thought comes in, thinking of your primitive mind as a small toddler that just needs to be put down for a nap, or thinking about a volume dial for your inner critic, or even thinking about your own pet polar bear. It really doesn't matter, because what we're really doing is finding a creative way to take back control from our negative thinking. Tip number 7. Redefine how you want to live and work. As a lecturer in solution-focused hypnotherapy, the thing I heard most from people wanting to study with us was that they'd actually had time to think about how they wanted their lives to be. Now, whether it was because of redundancy or furlough, or just not being able to go out, particularly when combined with the impact of a global event, the result was an opportunity to reflection that they rarely ever had. Maybe you recognise that how it was before wasn't actually ideal for you. Some things have actually improved in the last year for you, or something might have happened that made you question everything. Or maybe you just realised how bad things actually were without those outside things to distract you. So before you go rushing back into the distractions of modern life, maybe now could be an ideal opportunity to consider what you might like your life to be. Perhaps you'd like to work for a few days from home so you don't have the long commute. Maybe you want to focus more on family time together. Maybe you want to start a side project, or maybe, now that you've thought about it, you want to change everything. Tip number 8, JFDI, or in less colourful terms, rip off the plaster. Sometimes not giving yourself time to think is in fact the best way to get things done. How many times have you made a decision and then talked yourself out of it through going through the pros and the cons in conversations in your head? There are many iterations of this idea, from count from 5 to just do it. Just do it! Feel the fear and do it anyway. Just do it for 5 minutes. Don't hit snooze. The list goes on, right? So no, really, I'm a hypnotherapist. I've literally read dozens of versions of this. It's a wonderfully simple idea, but it really does just boil down to this. Decide and do. Tip number 9, pace yourself. You've probably had so many invites and opportunities to go back out into the world already, from friends, from colleagues, business opportunities, and so much more. We desperately want to get back out there for some of us, so it can be really easy to say yes, 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 because we don't want to miss out on a thing. Even if you aren't at all anxious about getting back into close proximity with other people and are delighted at the prospect of going back to face-to-face everything, your mind and body have actually been much less stimulated over the last year. So give yourself time to get back to what you consider to be normal. And don't be surprised if the first few outings leave you feeling like you need a big nap. Our clients have loved seeing family and friends for the first time in many months, but many of them have said that they know they packed way too much in, and later remembering that the world isn't actually going anywhere and that they don't need to do everything in the first week they go out. Now remember, not every tip in this video will work for you. So that's why I include lots of different ones. So just pick the ones which you think might be helpful for you right now, and maybe come up with your own. Lastly, if you are ready to leap out the front door, that's really great. But be gentle with your less than enthusiastic family, friends and colleagues. With your support and maybe even some of these tips, they will get there. I hope you've really enjoyed this video. Now, if you did, hit the like button and leave me a comment. And for more information, do get in touch. And to see more videos like this, or to get my latest guided relaxations, visualizations, and hypnosis meditations, hit subscribe and get reminders. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.